Welcome back to the channel. Today is Venomous Day. We just had Toxins on, and now we got the legendary Mr. Brent Venomous himself. How you doing today, sir?
I'm fantastic, man. And I'm better now that you're here. You know what I mean?
Man, you doing some iconic stuff with that clothing brand, man.
Man, I love where I'm at and what I'm able to do within the industry, man. Not just working with animals, but yeah, with the clothing, man. Just being able to create, bring awareness to venomous snakes and have conversation starters all over, from grocery stores to the gym, and then at the same time be able to do good with part of the proceeds and make a difference. Like, it is a crazy cool opportunity, and I couldn't be more satisfied, man.
Man, y'all hear that? Just if he had a mic, he would have dropped it. Boom.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk pre-Venom Life gear. I want to talk to you about
Yeah.
that. So, talk to me about the first reptile that just got you in the hobby, that you was like, this is it.
Man, my herpetology background story is very similar to everybody else. And 6 years old, but I was growing up in Colorado. But I was 6 years old. My neighbors were babysitting me. They were 2, 3, 4 years older, and they took me down to the pond one Saturday afternoon or whatever, and they were catching turtles and frogs and snakes, and it was just fascinating to me, man. And then, I was born in '82, so growing up through that time, when I was getting into the age where I could go out and actually do my own searching, Steve Irwin was a big thing, and so watching him, I don't know, there was something about it when he was dealing with animals all the time. It was cool. But anytime he had like a venomous animal or a dangerous animal, I don't know, there was something about it, man. There was something about it. So watching him deal with like taipans and king browns, and, even down to like the scorpions and red-bellied black snakes and all these things in Australia. And I was just fascinated with all the things that could kill you, basically. And that's really where it all started, man. That's where the whole love, not just for reptiles in general, but the venomous stuff, man. That's where it all started.
Right. What was your first venomous reptile? So we know what your first reptile was. What was the first venomous reptile that it just bit, the bug bit you and you just had to start.
It was it was just the rattlesnakes. Like in Colorado, we didn't have a lot of options, right? There were 3 rattlesnakes in Colorado. Growing up there for 30 some years, there were only 3 rattlesnakes, and one of them was really far away from my house. The other one was as far, but in the other direction. And then we had prairie rattlesnakes everywhere. So, taking a couple of those home, which at the time I was young, I didn't know anything about laws. I didn't know anything about education, how to keep them. I think I know I made a ton of mistakes. And so that's one of the reasons I really drive for education and proper keeping. Not just the husbandry, but locked cages, knowing what you have, getting the proper permits, knowing where the anti-venom protocols, all that stuff is now, because I know how many mistakes I made when I was younger because nobody was advocating for that, right? So that's one of the things that kind of put me on the platform doing what I do. But it was just taking home a couple rattlesnakes here and there. Then you get a couple cottonmouths and stuff from some other friends, and then you start catching other snakes from other states on herp trips, and it just kind of snowballs from there, man. You get, there's different things, right? There's some people that are just like king cobras are just absolutely their thing, and I love those things, right? But for guys like Eric Vogel, his thing's king cobras. He has a lot of snakes, but king cobras are like, he would die for that. You guys got like Alexander England. He's all about the arboreal pit vipers, Atheris, some trimes, but pretty much Atheris is his thing. And we all kind of have our thing that we really love. But I think diversity is key. I don't go for any one, as long as it's venomous, man. I think it's fascinating. I love it. So
So
I don't know, man.
so ain't no ball pythons at Brent House. It's all venomous.
I mean, to be super clear, I do have one right now, but I gave it to my neighbor because I knew she couldn't have one at her house, but she really wanted one. So it's at my house, but I don't own it. So technically, I still don't own any ball pythons. So
talk to me. Talk to me about your personal collection, man. How's it looking?
mm, absolutely terrible. I only have a couple native snakes to Louisiana right now, cottonmouths and copperheads, because I'm here in Louisiana now. I came down last November, but that was after a 13-month vagabonding trip around the U.S. So I left Colorado last January. Well, I left a little before that, but I basically left Colorado last January on a 12-month journey to just vagabond around the country. And my goal was 12 months. I made it 13 and a half before I actually got a house. But I ended up down here last November. I couldn't have any animals during that time. So this basically all the snakes that I had were donated, given away, education facilities, zoos, couple to Venom Lab and the museum in Kansas, and that was about it. I'm trying to just now start to rebuild my collection because I just got a permanent housing situation about 2.5 months ago, and I have an outbuilding coming, like a 50-foot outbuilding coming into. I have 3/4 an acre here, so I have a 50-foot outbuilding coming in my backyard at the end of the month, and so I'm hoping that by the end of September I can start to have some things flowing in.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So you're gonna build a building
Mhm.
on your land if that's where you're gonna put your snakes, your collection.
Yep, and
I'm jealous.
part of that is so right now currently I'm also the deputy executive director for the Venom Institute, which is based out of you know PA. It's out of Pennsylvania, and so my property down here is actually going to be one of the satellite facilities for that and housing some of the educational animals when they're not being used or for quarantining or things like that, so we don't mess up the other collections. So I'll have some access to some really cool snakes there as well. Also on some, I'm looking forward to some breeding projects starting later this fall, early next spring. That I'm going to take some of the snakes that I acquire through donations. Some will be seizures that are sent to me for caretaking and education. And I'm going to use some of those animals on some breeding projects as well with some other people for mainly like zoos and educational animals, not necessarily for the private sector.
Right, right, right. I love that. Now, you mentioned that for 12 months you were just going all over around, just herping and just visiting places.
Yeah,
You know who I would like to see you do a collab with?
you
And
tell
a lot of people might not know this person, but he's big on YouTube. David Speed.
David who?
David Speed.
I don't know. I don't know
He's
if I know
he,
that is.
he's overseas and he does a lot of free handling with the cobras and stuff. He has long fingernails.
But what probably is it is with Venom Life and Get Hooked. Not only do I manufacture the tools to handle the snake safely, but I also do a lot of trainings on how to work a venomous snake safely. So when I see free handling stuff, I automatically delete the
Kind of
image.
just kind of like no free handling. That's not safe. You're gonna hey, you know what? Teach his own. I feel that. Now,
I mean, it's
I want to
everybody.
talk to you.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying, like, from where I'm at, not just professionally, but with the brand, and then also my companies, doing the education and trainings that I do through like Code Venom Trauma Solutions. I'm also doing trainings through Code Venom Trauma Solutions with Jen Davis. I'll be partnering with her as a co-instructor in that program. So I'll be doing a lot of trainings for not just doctors and nurses, but other organizations as well, where we're doing not just pre-hospital care protocols, things like that, but also how to handle venomous snakes. I did the venomous snake training video for the U.S. military in 2015. The kind of like the first one, handling techniques, basics, and so for me, if I do something like that and there was ever an accident, or I'm known to support in any way people who free handle, it's risky business, right?
I can
Also,
understand that. I can understand that.
I don't. Yeah, I just don't promote it. I mean, to each their own. I don't. I'm I'm personal friends with some people who do it. I just don't follow their social media for that reason.
Right, right, right. Speaking of, because you're doing so much stuff in the industry, I want to talk to you. Like, what do you think? How do you think the laws are? Do you think that they're too strict? Do you think that they need to be stricter? What's your take on the Venom laws right now?
Um, there's broken laws and broken systems pretty much everywhere. Here's kind of my main take on it. I think a lot of places are trying to do the right thing, but don't have all the information or the right people giving them information. I think a lot of places are trying to put laws in place or regulations to make it safe. But there's a lot of cities or states, and keep in mind, like Texas is a county by county thing. You can legally sell them in one place and you could live in one place. So you could go there and buy it from another city, but you can't bring it home because you can't own them there, but you can buy them somewhere else. So that's a county by county thing. There's other places like North Carolina, with all the stuff that happened there. That was, the Article 55 in North Carolina. And that basically says you can own them legally with permits and licensing, but you have to do this, this, and this to make sure that you're doing it safely. But there's problems with enforcement. At the same time, a lot of people should be able to own these animals, but I think that, but there's too many stupid people that own them, and it ruins it for the rest of us. That's honestly, like, that's my real opinion. And I think that there's some good laws in place in good places. There's things that I would like to see changed pretty much everywhere. Like in Colorado, you can't own venomous snakes. There's like two
Wow.
permits, and both of them are, one of them's the Denver Zoo, and the other one's Steve Mackesy research. Like, that's it. And they said you can apply for a permit. There's a whole thing in the Colorado CSR, the revised statutes, but you can apply for permits, but they just haven't given one out since like 1983. So
Right.
But you can apply all day. So I think that there's the laws are tricky, man, because I believe that people should have a right to do this. I just think that if people are going to own a dangerous animal on purpose, they should want to do it responsibly. And there's too many people that want to own the animal, but they don't want to do it. I don't even want to say the right way, because that's opinionated.
Right.
But in a responsible manner. I think that that's a bigger issue than the laws. I think that, to be completely honest, man, if we had more people who gave a shit about owning dangerous animals responsibly, laws wouldn't even be a topic.
Right.
Like, think about it. If everybody wore a seatbelt every single time, how many $10,000 billboards would you see on the side of the highway that said "click it or ticket"?
That's true.
I'm just saying, like the reason we have all these laws and all this Facebook banter and bullshit back and forth is because we have quite a few people who want to do it the right way, quite a few people who want to do it but don't know how, and then quite a few people who want to do it, don't know how, but don't care that they don't know how. and those people ruin it for the rest of us. Or worse, there's people that know they don't know how and just don't care, right? So, and I'm certainly not singling anybody out. I just know that it happens because, again, with the analogy of the seatbelts, like, if that wasn't a thing, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Right. I totally agree with you, man. Now, while we're talking about the laws, we all got to talk about North Carolina. The guy that let the loose cobra out, didn't report it for some months. So he just got his punishment, which was a year of probation, lost his snakes, and a $13,000 fine. Do you think that punishment was good enough to kind of teach him something?
Keep in mind, part of that was he can no longer own venomous. He lost his ability to have a permit within the state.
No kidding. I thought that it was just for that year.
I'm fairly certain it's not, and I could double
wow.
because my business partner was the enforcing officer and the one that was on the seizure. So okay. I could double check that, but I'm fairly certain that he, at least within the state, I don't think he can own venomous anymore.
Well, that's a lesson taught then.
I think maybe. I mean, what's to say? What's to say you just don't go to another state and do it again? I mean, is it really a lesson taught? I don't know. Now, I want to be clear. For a long time, I wasn't able to talk about that in detail. Now that all the details are out in public, it's not as big of a deal. But I was trying to help deal with that. I wasn't boots on the ground, but I was trying to help deal with that the entire time. I was part of the investigation
Right.
since day one. I was consulting since day one. It was there was a lot of misconstrued stuff that went out on Facebook, and there's just flat out incorrect information. Now that all the details are out, I don't know that was really that big of a deal, because people are either going to choose to believe it or not, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
Now, when it comes down to was it a good enough punishment, if somebody's bit by a venomous snake, then there's really no way to tell ahead of time. You'll have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen depending on the venom and whatever, but it's very, very person specific. Like, one person might have different effects than other people. Somebody might go into anaphylaxis. Somebody might not have any real problems at all, right? Like, it's very biological, person to person specific. And I think that repercussions and consequences are kind of the same way. You got two kids and they both get in trouble. You take the phone away with both of them. One of them might learn their lesson. The other one might not. So I don't know that. I mean, that's really kind of an arbitrary thing, I suppose. And I'm not trying to just like run around it. I just don't know.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. You're good.
I'm just thinking.
That's a great answer. That's that, because some questions that's tough. It's so open ended. Just it's good to kind of see your feeling. Now, I definitely got to talk about these clothes, man. Talk to me about the Venom Life gear, the origin. How did it come around? Like you seen a need for something and you just feel that need that need. How did it come around?
I'll tell you how it came around, man. It was a joke. We had my business partner Chris and I. We met in 2014 at the Biology of the Pit Vipers 2 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at a Venom conference. And he called me up a few weeks later. He's like, "Hey, I think I'm just going to start making my own snake hooks. I'm working in, Carl's lab, and it's just not enough room, and nobody's making the lengths that I want." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing my work at the Denver Zoo, and I'm having the same problem." I said, "Let me in. I want in. I want to help you build this snake hook company." So that's what happened. We started Get Hook Snake Hooks around 2015, 16, 17. In 2018, we started joking around. They had, Herp Life, Swamp Life, Salt Life is huge, probably one of the biggest. Then they had like Mud Life, and they had all these like Life, something like Yoga Life. Like, they had all these brands all over the US. I'm like, nobody's doing anything for the people who love venomous stuff. Like, they're totally missing that niche. So we just made some cups, some mugs, and put Venom Life on it. And it's basically like the Venom energy drink logo with the word life under it. It wasn't very creative, but it wasn't meant to be a business. But people loved it. And so we said, hey, we might be onto something. The Arlington NARBC February show in 2019, I was like, let's spend just a little bit of money from our hook company. Let's print up like 2 hats, 2 shirts, bring them down there and see how they do. And we doubled our best show ever. And we made more money that show than our last 2 Tinleys combined. And I'm like, okay, we might be onto something. And by the following Tuesday in February 2019, we had bought the website, built the website, secured the apparel, got our state wholesale license, set up emails, got phone numbers, like state licenses. We did all that in the first 24 hours from returning from that trip. So it really just literally happened overnight, over 24 hours of just trying it out. And people love the Venom Life brand. A lot of people talk about the success and blowing up since 2019, and we're well known. We're wholesaling all over the country. Our hooks are in 30-something zoos around the world, 28 zoos in the US. Our clothes, Venom Life sponsored in 2019 October, our first year. We sponsored a Venom conference in Amsterdam. Right? And then the following year we sponsored Venom Week, the Houston Venom conference. I mean, we got up quick. And I tell people all the time, it's because of them, their support, their love. It's the fans and the customers and our loyal tribe, man, our Venom Life friends and family. Because, I mean, let's be honest, Derek. Like, without them, we're just two dudes with way too many clothes, right? Like, like let's be honest.
Right? You know
So,
what?
fun.
I want to ask you this. Describe the feeling of just seeing everybody in your clothes, because to starting a clothing business, and then just one day everybody has a Venom Life shirt, man. How does that feel, just seeing everybody in your stuff?
It's it's incredibly exciting and super humbling all at the same time. Like, every time I see it, I'm still taken back. And when I go to shows and I see 86 vendors at a show and 50 of them are wearing stuff behind the booth, or I get on Instagram or Facebook and like every 3 to 5 posts, somebody's wearing something, and I'm like, I still have a super hard time believing it, man, to be honest. And I know I'm very clear on the fact that a lot of people, at least in the beginning, bought stuff, even if they weren't into venomous, specifically because a percentage of everything that we do goes to the Asclepius Snakebite Foundation, which I'm also a part of, where we build snakebite clinics in Africa. We help supply them with anti-venom, training on handling, other medicines, ketamine, syringes, all the way down to like physically building from the ground up, heart rate monitors. We help provide them with all that in these clinics in rural Africa. So I was really, really big on that. I'm a huge believer in any business opportunity. There has to be 3 identifiable winners. Like, you buying a hat from me and you get some cloth and I get some money, like, that's not a good enough transaction. My goal in this world is to leave the world 0.1% better than I found it. And I think the only way to do that is to have a third unidentifiable winner in every single transaction. So if you buy a hat, I get some money, you get some cloth, but somebody else gets something out of the deal who had nothing to do with the transaction, that's a win for me. That's a business deal I'm interested in. And so we were super fortunate for that. And I know that with our association with Snakebite Foundation, that a percentage of every t-shirt, every hat goes to that. I know that that's how we got a lot of support right off the bat. But it meant a lot to me. And I could have kept 100% of the profits, but I didn't want to. I wanted to make sure that somebody else was not only getting their name out there and more people learn about them and what we're doing over there and how we're helping the other half of the world, but also, to get that information, but also be able to make sure that with every purchase, somehow somebody else benefited. And right now it's people in Guinea that I'm probably never going to meet. But if I can help life and limb by going to work every day, then I live a life worth lived, right?
That's iconic, man. I love that. How long have y'all been around? How long has the company been here?
So we started Venom Life officially in February of 2019. So believe it or not even 2.5 years, just 2 years we've been around, and we're everywhere. But we're less than 2 years old. So I know we're doing really, really, really well. But we're only a couple years old, man. And I can't tell you how excited I am for next year. Actually, you know what? Let me back up a little bit. I'm gonna drop a teeny tiny little teaser.
I love it. Let me hear it.
Gonna be in Daytona Beach. You heard it here first on Derek's Reptiles. Check it out. This weekend we're gonna be in Daytona Beach for the Super Show, US Art. We're doing all that. We've done that show since we started with Get Hooked in 2015. I teased this a little bit on a couple of the podcasts, but as of this weekend, I'm going to have another 200 products being added to our Venom Life line this week.
Jesus.
I'm dropping 200 new products from this hat right here.
Let me hold on. Let me see. Oh, that's nice. That's hard. That's hard.
Cookie. Down to my brand new branding the LOTS, love of the snakes.
That's hard.
And so I'm gonna have everything with this on it, from hats to t-shirts to hoodies to beach towels, swimsuits, ladies and men's, flip-flops. I mean, you name it, man. I got another 200 products coming out as of this weekend, online only.
Brent ain't playing no games whatsoever.
But here, check it out, man.
Now,
I'm a super busy guy. This is one of the things that I stay busy doing, is talking to people, educating, taking phone calls, answering emails, podcasts. Like, I love this stuff, man. I live for it. And this is part of my job. This is one of my 10 jobs that I don't get paid for. So
right,
I've
right.
got a couple that I do.
how
But
does it feel like, because I don't think y'all have a commercial. It's more so a word of mouth. Are y'all thinking about doing like a kind of a commercial?
you know what? So our snake hooks, we have about 25, 28 somewhere in there wholesalers in the U.S. So there's pet shops all over the U.S. that you can buy our snake hooks. Which, by the way, also at the end of this weekend will no longer be Get Hook snake hooks. That will be Venom Life snake hooks from this day forward. We're taking that whole other brand from 2015, getting it out the window. Just Venom Life snake hooks from here on forward. Same good old product with some new options, all starting with just Venom Life snake hooks. That being said, we don't really have any commercial. We don't have like a brick and mortar. We don't really do a lot of ads. We don't really do a lot of promotion. It's almost all just expos and word of mouth. But
Right.
the support that we've got from the reptile community was unreal. I know that when there's things that go down, through US ARC, the Herps shows, the super shows, NARBC, when needs help, people all over the country, people all over the world in the industry step up to help them out. And
Right.
we've been one of those since day one to help out when and time. We've had more love and support since day one than I honestly thought possible. Like I did not fathom this kind of success so quickly. And it's only getting better, man. And what's awesome about it for me is the conversation starter. We're moving from just the Venom Life word across the chest that we've had for 2 years to stuff like this, or some more kind of quippy, educational, funny stuff. And the reason for that is I want people to ask questions. I want people to say, what is that shirt about? Like, oh, so you love snakes? And they're like, yeah, or the venomous stuff, like the Keeping It Hot shirt that we got. We got one that says Keeping It Hot. And I want people to ask about that. Say, what is that all about? And you're like, oh, well, I'm a venomous snake guy, or I support the venomous snake thing. Let me talk about that. What's the difference between venom and poison? How is venom good? Yeah, venom does a lot of damage in the world, man. But it does a lot of good too. For starters, the anti-venom that saves life and limb all over the world is made from venom. You just got that talk from Nate, my buddy Nate. You just got that talk. But there's also a lot of pharmaceutical stuff that happens with that. From breast cancer medication, Contortrostat, to Beta diabetes 2 medication, Captopril and Lisinopril, which is an ACE inhibitors, high blood pressure medication. If you guys have a family member that's over the age of 80 to 85 and they're on high blood pressure medication, that's Botrops Mujanai in 1971 saved your grandparents' life. Like, that's a
Right.
real, like, and they're doing even more than that with the Bungera multicinctus, the banded crepe, multi-banded crepe. In India, they're doing all kinds of stuff with the Bungera toxin A, and they're looking at sodium ion channel blockers for pain relieving medication that is non-opiate, non-addictive. Like cancer research, Alzheimer's, heart disease, Parkinson's. They're doing crazy research with venoms all over the world, and not just snake venom, to be clear. Zebrafish, cone snails is one of the biggest ones in cancer research right now. So venom's a big deal, man. And I think that people need to realize that, whether you're spiritual, religious, atheist, doesn't matter. Like somewhere, somehow, these things that do a lot of damage, also do a lot of good. Just like a
Right.
volcano takes out entire villages, but allows new plant life to grow that couldn't have been there before.
Right. Right. Right.
The world takes care of itself, right? And Venom's a way that does that.
Right. Now I gotta put you in the hot seat, man.
Go.
I love all the venomous keepers, but I gotta ask you right now, who's your current favorite venomous keeper?
I'm not gonna lie, man. Right now, the first name that comes to my head is Alexander England, and I'm gonna say that for one reason and one reason alone. I just did a podcast on THP,
Uh
and
huh.
the very next podcast he did, and I generally don't listen to a lot of the podcast stuff. Like on a regular basis, I'll catch every third or fifth one, but I happen to listen to the next one, and that dude's mindset, his love for those animals, his knowledge, just really breaking through and doing stuff that's never been done, and then his wants and dedication to spread education. He's not hoarding information. He's not like, I did the world's first 3 times on these things, and I'm not going to tell anybody how I did it. He's like, I want people to be able to keep these things successfully. So that dude, right now, he's hands down my favorite, man. Just
Right. I'm gonna have to look him up. Now, the next hot seat question, man.
go.
How bad would you sue me if I made non-venom life gear?
Um, maybe 50%. I'd only sue you 50%.
Hilarious. Now, one thing that I do want to see, man, like, have you ever thought about going to the Reptarium and getting the old bar checking some venom life gear?
No, mainly because when I think of venomous snake professionals, he's not one of the top guys that come to mind. With the boas and python kind of like, you know, lifestyle that he's had, he's just not one of the first guys that come to mind when it comes to venomous stuff.
Right? If you could get anybody in your gear, that you haven't had in it already, who would it be?
Just somebody, just if I could get any one person to wear my stuff,
In the world?
man, I don't even know that I've actually thought about that question, but it would probably be, oh man, it would probably be both the Irwin kids, man. Like, I would
That's
want
iconic right there.
100%, man. Like, not only would that come back full circle, but I would want, dude, if I could get Benny and Robert like wearing, like, just rocking Venomized stuff, or selling just a couple items out of the Australian reptile park, that would basically be like, cool, I could die tomorrow and I'm okay with that, right? Like that's kind of where I'm at with that level. We were fortunate enough through our a friend from a help, Rachel, down at the Chiricahua Desert Museum, when Robert went through and did his TV filming for the Irwins in Tucson, Arizona, he was provided with a purple Venom Life Get Hook snake hook for the shoot. So our snake hook's actually on the TV show. So
Right?
we were fortunate for that. But that's what I would say, man. That's probably, if I could pick anybody, it'd be that.
Nice, nice, nice. Now, with you being a part of the venomous hobby, do you think it's beneficial for a lot of the venomous keepers to start trying to get their license to keep anti venom at their house?
Um, yes, I yes, I'll say yes to begin with. I think that it's a really really good thing to look into. There's a couple pointers that I do want to throw out there. If you're going by a lot of the protocols that are currently out there, or talk to a professional that knows what they're doing and carries it currently, somebody in one of the Venom labs, Nate or Carl or somebody like that, and you have a mentor that's teaching you how to do this stuff, you can actually look at, if you have 3 zoos within 5 minutes, you might not need to. Now that being said, when you go to the hospital and the zoos provide the anti-venom, the zoos don't get repaid. So that's kind of a backhanded thing to do, is to expect the zoos to cover your anti-venom cost. I think that people should. Yes, I think that they should. I think that they should not be taking from zoos. They should not be taking from other private facilities. And if they keep responsibly, and every 5 or 8 years or whatever type they have, it expires and they have to rebuy it, I think that that's part of the game. I think that there's good ways around that if you're doing it right with the right people and the right mentors. But I'm going to retract that first thing that I said about you don't have to, because most people don't do that. Most people just keep because they want to keep, and they just assume that somebody somewhere is going to send it to them. And that's true. But that somebody somewhere had to pay for it, and they generally don't pay it back. They don't pay it back. So I think that if you want to do it responsibly and do it the right way, you should. If you're going to take on the risk, you should also take on the financial responsibility that goes with it.
Right.
And somebody go get their go buy a G4 jet and not get their pilot's license. I wouldn't recommend that somebody go buy a Lamborghini Murcielago to take out on the track and not have a driver's license, or not wear a seatbelt, or not wear a helmet and not have a roll cage. So I think if you're going to actively go out into the world and do something that you know is dangerous, like drive a race car, you should probably get one that has a roll cage and a helmet and a fireproof. And I think that this is no different. If you're going to go out there and actively do something that you know is dangerous, you should be willing to put in the extra money to do it the right way.
Right. I agree with you. Now, with you being a part of the venomous hobby, can you recommend the best beginner venomous snake?
The one that you don't touch. I mean, and honestly, I'm kind of not joking when I say that. You can probably own a lot of venomous snakes out there in a proper enclosure with hooks and tongs and things like that, and good training. Never get within striking distance of that animal and own it for 10 years and never even have a close call. You can probably do that with any snake.
Right.
Let me back that up. Not any snake. I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't recommend mambas, certain cobras, things like that. I think that if I'm going to recommend a good beginner venomous snake, it would be, God, man, I don't even know where to start with that. I think something that's arboreal, that doesn't move a lot, is probably a good one, to be honest. And unfortunately, a lot of those animals, there's not good anti-venom for, or proper anti-venom for, or it's not widely kept, which makes that kind of a iffy subject. But I don't know, man. I think the easy ones are like the Cayuthia, right? Naja Cayuthia, the monocle cobras. Those are like the garter snakes of the venomous world. And I think too many people get those animals, they get big, they can have really bad attitudes, and there's no good anti-venom for it. Also, not a lot of places have it. So, I mean, maybe even a small version of something that's near you at your house might be something good to start with, because at least that way, there's a high chance of the closest major hospital having Profab or Antivip, like a local anti-venom. I mean, a good beginner venomous snake that's a touchy subject, man. I think it's on a person by person kind of basis. To be honest, man, there's a lot of people who have venomous snakes who I wouldn't recommend any venomous snake to.
That's true.
And there's a lot of people who have no interest in venomous snakes who are so good for non-venomous that I would highly trust over some of the venomous keepers. So I think it's a highly variable thing.
So more like a case-by-case basis.
100%. Yeah. I think anybody can probably own most of the venomous snakes if they have the proper training, proper protocols, I think if they have those things in place, there's not a ton of snakes that would be absolutely terrible. There is a list of absolutely terrible ones I would highly recommend against. But as far as beginner stuff, I don't think. I think if they do their research, they do their job, they do their due diligence, and they're smart about it, there's quite a few options.
Right, right, right. I agree with you. Everybody in the chat, I want to say thank y'all for watching. We went an amazing 40 minutes, and I appreciate you for doing that for me. Y'all make sure y'all go check out his clothing. It is amazing, to see it. I remember when they first started, and now to see where they have came, it's iconic. So first off, Mr. Brent, I want to say thank you for doing my podcast. I like to keep it 30, 40. That way it was fun. We had fun. We talked, and maybe we can do it in the future sometime.
Oh, we'll do it
But
back.
you're a legend, man. I love what you're doing. Um, Everybody, before we leave, I want to shout out everybody. Make sure y'all go check out Kurtwood75. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Shout out to the Iron Dog, My Animal House, Michaela, Kit Kat Vlogs, Casey Mountain, Moore, Solo Butterfly, Celtic Balls, Venom Wonderful, Desert Wolf Armory, Benjamin Payne, Ducks, just everybody. Isaiah, go subscribe to these people. If I forgot anybody, I apologize. Shout out to Ball Python Love, Cold Blooded Monstars, Reptile Feedings, just everybody. Great community of people. Kara Shea, everybody. So this is Big Reptile Talk. I know you're busy, so I'm gonna let you go, Mr. Brent. I hope you have an amazing day today. Thank you so much, man.
Man, I can't thank you enough, man. VenomLiveGear.com at Brent Venomous. And I'm going to see all of you again, hopefully this weekend at Daytona. But I'm going to see you all again soon, I promise.
All right, you're a legend, man. I'll holler at you.
Thank you, brother.
All right. All right, so this is Big Reptile Talk. Today was the Venomous Day. I hope y'all appreciate it. Shout out to KC Mystic Mountain Moors. Iconic today, man. We had M Toxin's Venom Lab. We had Venom Life Gear. Make sure y'all go to just check both of those brothers out. They doing iconic stuff in the industry. This is Big Reptile Talk. If you want to support the channel, hit me up on PayPal. You can find me at determinedman28@gmail.com. Show the channel some love, man. We're doing some great stuff, and we want to keep it going. Again, Michaela, that's right, man. We have an amazing community, and we out of here, man. I'm gonna go spend some time with the family. I appreciate y'all for watching. We out of here.